So, yeah, the title says the argument for trading Gleyber Torres for pitching. And I know people are going to think I'm crazy because they already do. So let's get into it. On everybody. So, the reason why I'm talking about this, okay, and this is inspired by a conversation. So Joey from the Shift put out a video, and I really like his takes. And he mentioned a legitimate concern, a legitimate frustration in the conversation that Brian Cashman had with reporters. And one of the exchanges they had was, "What about Peraza if he's hitting? Oswald Peraza if he's hitting, you're not going to make a room for him, right? You're not going." And he said he's basically blocked. There's nowhere for him to play, which is a frustrating situation. Okay, and let's think about it. Okay, and I don't like the fact that it felt like Cashman was almost putting words in Joel Sherman's mouth and referring to a certain Volpe and blah blah. When Sherman didn't actually say that, so that is a criticism I'm levying upon Cashman there. For those that suggest that I'm a constant Cashman shiller, constant Cashman defender, I do criticize him when it's appropriate too, and this time it was appropriate. So, by the way, I'm going to put out stuff that you don't agree with, that you do agree with. But if you're not subscribed to this channel, I ask you that you please do that. I thank you so very much. Thank you, and I love you for it. Okay, and if you do hit it, just hit the notification bell as well, and that'll make sure that you're in line. You're at the front of the line to get the stuff as it comes in. Especially now when things are going to start really heating up in the hot stove and in the off season. We got lots of deadlines coming up. The GM meetings are right now. We've got the winter meetings coming up soon. We've got Cy Young announcement coming up soon. We've got the non-tender deadline coming up next week. Free agency is starting. Managerial moves have happened. The Yankees need to solidify their hitting coach and their bench coach. There's a lot of stuff for the Yankees to do. Okay, but this particular discussion, I proposed before. People are like, "Was this guy crazy? Does he just hate Gleyber Torres?" Like, I get it. I get it. So, and I thank Joey for very eloquently communicating his frustrations and concerns. So, because it made me think about it today. And I said, how can I you feed off his point to make my own? Okay. Because some people think I'm just don't see the logic. And I get it. I get it. He was one of the best hitters on a very poor offensive team. I get it. But I do feel his offense can be replaced with a guy like Jimmy Candelaria and blah, blah, blah. But let's think of the guys that we have here right now. Okay. DJ LeMahieu. He's got 3 years left on his deal. What was he, at $15 million per? And then Josh Thompson's gone. Thankfully, he's not coming back, but they still owe his buyout this year. So again, that's just $8 million or $6 million, whatever it is, that they're paying him to go play somewhere else. So that there was a disaster. He, no need to beat that dead horse again. And then you got Rizzo here for another year, which takes first base away from Gio, right? So, from Gio, it takes first base away from DJ. So until Rizzo moves on, and I know there's been talk about him potentially being included in the Juan Soto trade, but this is all speculation coming from other people. So, as theoretically it can make sense, but it's not Juan Soto. So I don't know if the Padres are going to go for something like that, but let's just say Rizzo's preventing DJ from playing first. So DJ has essentially no choice but to play third, right? Really, or the utility guy. And he's only the infield utility. He doesn't play outfield. So, and he's definitely not fast enough to play the outfield. So that leaves shortstop. Volpe just won the Gold Glove, so he's not moving. Meaning, and Peraza, we know, is an elite, superb defensive infielder. There's no doubt about it. He makes the infield better. But the fact is, Volpe won a Gold Glove, whether people like it or not. He did. He beat out Carl Gray. He beat out Corey Seager. Facts. Okay? He's not moving from shortstop, even though we'd like to see it. Now that he's won his Gold Glove, I think he's definitely not moving from shortstop as much as some of us would want. I've even proposed him moving to second, Peraza at short, because I think it'll be a better defensive alignment. But he's made the case to stay at shortstop. That leaves second base. And we have Gleyber Torres currently at second base. Who's the only person on this team right now that has trade value? Gleyber Torres. He's got 1 year left. And again, with the moves that the Yankees are suggesting that they're going to be making, looking to get 2 outfielders, at least one of them a lefty, they're going to replace his offense. Okay? And let's just say you move Gleyber Torres. Now you have the opportunity to play Peraza, and there's no excuse to have him blocked by anybody. Okay? You have every excuse to keep him there and let him go through the whole entire season, because when he does get regular playing time, he tends to hit better. But the fact is, he's blocked. And the fact is, too, they're not going to sit DJ and just eat $15 million a year. That's not going to happen. Okay? Even though some people want that. Okay? That's not reality. So those are our opinions, some of us. But they're not going to sit him and play Peraza. Okay? This is the way that provides an opportunity to get value back for Gleyber Torres to address a need like pitching. And I would be going for controllable relief pitching if I could. Right? Good controllable relief pitching, even if you haven't had a prospect of what I mentioned, the White Sox, and maybe Garrett Crochet, if they can do that. He's 24. He's a lefty. Okay, he's got 3 years of arbitration to go on the cheap. And White Sox need a couple of bats, and need one to replace Tim Anderson in the infield. Gleyber Torres represents that right field bat. Got a little bit more contact, a little bit more pop than Tim Anderson. It's a fit. Garrett Crochet, I mean, would I be okay with Aaron Bummer? Yeah, sure. I think Matt Blake can probably get him back to his better stats again. But Garrett Crochet as a guy would be my first pick. But we'd have to add to a Garrett Crochet package. I don't think we'd have to add to an Aaron Bummer package. And again, with the Aaron Bummer, you have 2 club options, so that if it doesn't work out in 2024, the club options are for 25 and 26. They can just opt out and decide not to exercise them and move on from him, with no financial obligation. So they have that secured, that protection there. Crochet, they don't, but he's still on the cheap anyway through arbitration, and he's like 10 years younger than Bummer, or 8 years younger than Bummer. So the argument to me is moving Gleyber Torres because and I've said this before, he's the easiest one here to move. They're not going to be able to move DJ LeMahieu right now with 3 years to go at $15 million per. I don't think anybody's going to take him. Okay, and he was better the second half of the year. So hopefully they'll bring a hitting coach there who can connect with veterans and young kids. So, but he clearly still has more baseball in him, and he's a good defender actually. So if he stays, I have him at third, and I have Oswald Peraza at second. Okay. And you have Gleyber Torres at first, and then you have, at shortstop, you have Rizzo at first. And if something happens, you can move, or if you decide to make a maneuver, a different maneuver, you want to add another infielder, rather than spending $25 million a year on Matt Chapman, you can get a Jeimer Candelario. You can move DJ to first if Rizzo needs more DH days or whatever it is. You can make that work as well. But there's a case to be made here for moving Gleyber Torres, because you can and he's the only one that you can get value for. Okay, and replace his production offensively at the same time with the moves that the Yankees are planning. They say they're planning on making. Now, if they don't do what they say they're going to do, then we have every right to criticize them. All of us. But that's the argument for trading Gleyber Torres. And again, he has trade value. People are interested in him. You have Miami, and now you have other teams who have guys that aren't coming back now, who are all of a sudden free agents, who need another bat. And Gleyber Torres is 26. Yes, he'll cost a lot of money after the season, but at the very least, he can also be a missing piece for a team that feels that they're a contender. That they feel like they're one bat away. Okay, he could be a fit there too, or a building block for a team like Chicago, who they have the resources to re-sign him. Maybe even Cleveland. Try to get a pitcher out of there. So there are fits for him. A couple in the AL Central, and a couple elsewhere, a couple in the National League. But this, to me, is the alignment that you have here. Again, DJ LeMahieu is the only guy that people talk about in terms of wanting to move on from. I know some people want to move on from Rizzo. I get it, but the chances of him being moved are low, and the chances of DJ being moved are low because he's older and he's got 3 years left on his deal. Teams will be more willing to pay 15 million for a more productive Gleyber than they would 3 years and 15 million for an older DJ LeMahieu. That's just a fact. And again, when a team has a valuable trade asset, and the Yankees do have a valuable trade asset who can be replaced in house with Oswald Peraza, and I would expect him to replace a decent amount of Gleyber Torres' production and get better infield defense. But this is how. And again, they would be clearing about $15 million off the payroll, which they could use elsewhere towards, a lot of people want Soto and Yamamoto and Bellinger. Well, it's going to be very hard to get all three. And the chances of them getting all three is slim. Okay, just for reality purposes. But there are other teams that are going to go after them. But you need the resources for all three of them too. And Torres is the only guy that you're going to move that's going to enable them to clear the resources that they would need to help in that situation. Okay, he's a very tradable $15 million a year. Very tradable. His offensive production justifies his high arbitration salary. Okay. And if he plays well again, it'll justify his 9-figure contract. So that's just my 2 cents on it. Thank you, Joey, for bringing it up and for inspiring it. Okay. Because you're absolutely right. It's a frustrating conversation to listen to when they're basically flat out saying this young kid's going to be blocked because we have major leaguers that are under contracts. And they're not going to publicly say, he's not going to say, what are we going to sit DJ and play the kid and eat the money? They're not going to say that. And as much as some people would want him to say that, he's not going to say that. No GM would. So, but this to me presents a logical solution in this situation to make this happen, which brings me back to the argument for trading Gleyber Torres. And a lot of people I know don't agree with me, think I'm nuts. I get it. I understand. But this to me is a potential solution for a problem that the Yankees have that they could solve. Okay. There's not many of them that we can identify easy fixes or easy solves. This one seems to be pretty easy. And if they put him on the market, he will have no shortage of suitors for him, which is another plus for the Yankees. So I hope they consider it. And again, it would stink to see him go, yes. But again, if we can get great value back, and I would expect nothing less than get great value back for Gleyber Torres, then, happy with that move. Then I think the Yankees will be well off as well. So you let me know what you think, King. Load up the comments. Let's talk about this, okay? And that's the situation now. I mean, gives us a little bit more clarity. This conversation that Cashman and Hal had with the reporters gave me some more clarity in terms of how can we present an option that might be a solve for them in a certain area. Well, this presents a solve, in my opinion, in a certain area. Okay, especially since they've said that Oswald Peraza is going to be part of the future, the infield future with Volpe. Well, how are you going to do that if he can't play? Okay, very hard to do that. So this is the opportunity to let him play and just put him there and let him undergo his growing pains and all this other stuff and figure it out offensively, just like Anthony Volpe had all year last year. And they did say they're about to get younger, so my guess is, Austin Wells is close to a given to be catching, and I think he's going to platoon with Jose Trevino, which is a great pairing. Volpe's a lock at short. And I think this is a way of making Peraza as close to a lock as possible. So you folks let me know what you think. We'll talk about it. See y'all later.